Hey, I'm Noodle Yeti, and this is the 21st part in a series I'm doing where we build a city called Westdale. So this part is actually going to be where we go back and fill in a lot of the areas that are completed that we have not yet added details to, or trees and whatnot. Such as this area right here that goes right down the center of this Manhattan-like area. I call it Manhattan, even though I know it's on an island, but I think it's kind of nice. Along the quay wall here that goes along the river, all the way down over here into this kind of like lower income, high density area at the end of this kind of like utility bridge. Both around it in this area next to the roundabout and down here on the quay wall itself. There's an area that I've been forgetting about that I always forget in every single detailing part. We have some empty space in front of the hospital, as well as just around it. I think it'd be kind of nice to fill these in. We also just have our newest area over here that has a lot of space around the stadium and the metro station, as well as between some of these buildings over here. And also as well as along the quay wall itself. I think in this part I'll have to decide if I want to keep this default key or if I'd like to utilize the newer content creator keys. Although I didn't leave myself enough space between the roads and the keys to put down paths, I don't think. In fact, you know what? Let's go ahead and check that out right now just to make sure I'm right or wrong about that. Okay, so we can still fit paths, so I can go ahead and turn these into walkable keys and then add paths. But we do have to keep in mind that they won't be able to continue on from here because of the new harbor thing. But yeah, I think it'd be kind of nice to add that in over here. Oh yeah, and we also have this area here in between these two neighborhoods. This is done now, so we could put stuff here. So yeah, I'd like to actually start over here in this roundabout area and just get this all done up. And so for this area, I think I was questioning about going either offices to fill this in. I think I'm just going to go ahead and go with trees and vegetation and things like that all throughout here. Maybe some pathways and things like that just to help people get around. But I kind of want the trees to help make people feel like they're more in nature than they are when they're in a very city-like area like this. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get this area all done up, and I will be right back. Or if I run into anything, I'll stop and I'll talk about it. Alright, so I wanted to point something out. I think warehousing is working like normal now, where they've actually fixed the empty ones not able to receive things and whatnot. So if we look at this, trucks are actually on their way and actually arriving, which is great. So I think we can go back to all of our other warehouses and set them back to empty. Alright, so I've gone through and set all the balanced warehouses to empty, and you can see it has skyrocketed our weekly income because we have this mass influx of trucks trying to export all these goods that were needlessly being stored for no reason. That's pretty cool to see. It's going to go back down again once all these warehouses do reach empty, but that is okay. So I think I'm going to get back to adding in a bunch of details and stuff, and I guess I'll cover a little bit of what I've done so far. I've just added pathways connecting things over here, like this corner into the roundabout, and then also into this path that will head all the way down, just so we can kind of walk through the trees if you need to get to work or to one of the stations over there. Added a little bit more connection over here. This one going from the corner to the roundabout was already here, both of these were, but adding in these other paths to help them get around even better, such as this one here that goes down to this path that cuts under the bridge and connects the two sides up. I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to detail this roundabout here that has the monorail going through. I personally feel like the monorail cutting through it is already enough of a feature in itself that's kind of cool to look at, maybe from coming down over the bridge or something, that it didn't really need much else to complement it. So all I did was put down a bunch of low and high vegetation, as well as a few rocks. Hey, Future Yeti here. So I just wanted to give a quick note since I cut this part out, that I am aware of this traffic issue that you're seeing on screen right here. After the end of this episode, we just pass over the 50,000 mark, and it does end up getting worse. This does come and go, and I'm not quite sure what causes these huge waves of people to enter and leave this area through this roundabout. But I am thinking of possible ways to fix this, and it'll come up in the future. So I think I'm going to be right back and continue adding in all of our trees and rocks and things like that on this side, because we still have this side we got to worry about now. So I will be right back. So I've got this whole area done up with paths and rocks and trees and whatnot. I'm really liking it. I think it looks a lot better. Although you can kind of see how silly the fire watchtower looks, but I mean, hey, if we're trying to save money, we're trying to save money. Fire watchtowers doing us a service here. But anyways, you can see I've got all this stuff down, and wow, look at all those people using the monorail. Anyways, I think it looks a lot better over here now. And I think we can move into prettying up this key wall over here. I'm not quite sure how I can do it. I think maybe if we come in here, you can see we have these default key walls with trees. Let's see what that look. Oh, that it doesn't connect to them. But we could do something like that. But I was thinking of putting in the key walls along the in between the road and the key. I think that would be better. And there's a couple patterns or designs I was thinking of. I was thinking we can go with either something like some generic pines in a way that like kind of looks like this. I would space them out a little bit further than that because I don't want to block the views from the bottom stories or the bottom few stories of these apartment buildings across the way. I think from afar it would look great if we had this row of trees, but I think if you were actually down here, you'd probably want these trees separated just a little bit more. We could also use young lindens since these are actually very small and thin trees, and we could go pretty dense with them without blocking too much of a view. I think that would be perfectly fine. I think there's even these palm trees we can go with. We can go with something like a California palm. Although, I'll be honest with you, I don't think these would be the best option, and that's simply because of our location. If we weren't in this rainforest looking area, I just don't think these would fit in an area like this, so I don't think we want to do these either. I was also thinking we could do one of the trees that's more natural around here, the boreal pine, and then just space these out a lot further. That way we're blocking less of the view. I'm still not quite sure. I think I'm going to sit here and think about it for a little bit. So I will be right back. As you can probably tell by the key wall, I have chosen the boreal pines, but not just that. I've also chosen, I believe, I can't even remember what the name of this is. Rhododendron. Pacific rhododendron. I decided to fill the space in between with those. I just thought it looked a little bit too sparse with the generic pines spread out so much. Although I did want to keep them spread out so we kept the view blocking to a minimum. And I've done that all the way up and down over here. Oop, that was probably a little too fast for everybody, but I've also added in a bunch of trees around these low density homes. When I first put this ferry stop down here, I completely forgot at the time there was a bunch of the low density zoning there. If I had remembered that, I would have actually put this ferry stop a little bit further down in the high density area, because occasionally these people will complain about noise pollution, and it's just not fun. Not cool. I can imagine what the problem is with that. Or I can imagine the problem with that. But yeah, so we've got this whole area pretty much done. I think we should probably think about this. And for this one, I was actually thinking about office buildings over here. I'd want to take a look at the zone or the districts just to make sure that we didn't get any weird office buildings popping up that weren't meant to be over here. I think maybe I should do trees and things like that. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and veer back. I'm going to put in a bunch of paths and things like that. And just, well, I guess not paths, but I'll fill it in with a bunch of trees and rocks and stuff. So I'm just trying to think about what it would be trying to live like in this single family home and you'd look out right into either the back of an office or something. That would really devalue your home. So I think filling this in with trees and whatnot would probably be best option. So I will be right back. So I've got this whole area with trees and rocks and vegetation, and I've even added in this kind of like privacy fence, I guess, because over here on this side you have all the high density, the offices and things like that, and then over here you have these like single family homes, even like this little tiny one right here for like maybe even a single residence. And I felt like it added just a little bit more privacy and value for the homeowners on this left side, and in giving them a little bit more feel of privacy with all the tall trees and things like that and the fence between them. So yeah, I'm happy with that, and I'm happy with how I've messed around over here. If you're wondering why this is a little blank over here, I'm still deciding on what I want to do. If I want to just put trees and rocks over here, or if I would like to put down maybe some more park assets or a sauna or something. I'm not quite sure what I want to put in this little area, so I think I'm just going to leave that alone for now. And my goodness, does that look cool going over that monorail. Not going to lie, I was not expecting this. It actually looks kind of cool. So yeah, we've got that all done up now, and now I think we can focus on this kind of lower income, high density area over here, where we go around the outside, we go around the quay wall over here. So yeah. Ooh, and we actually have another roundabout to make it look pretty. Although I'm wondering why this water tower for some reason cuts a square hole into the ground, but whatever. It is what it is. I will go ahead and start getting this area beautified. Alright, so I got a little bit too distracted when doing this. I did up all the empty areas, including in between the buildings inside of these like little backyard areas, I guess you could say. I guess it might be where all the people who live here might hang out or something, or they got to get some fresh air, smoke breaks or something. But one of the things I did was when I went from these boreal pines, I went to the generic pines instead. I really wanted to differentiate that this was a different district. And I thought that was a fairly decent way of doing so, especially since it does look like the buildings are a little bit shorter. I thought a great representation for that would be the shorter trees. But to also kind of represent that this isn't like a nicer, higher income area, I've also taken away the flowers. That way they're not over here as well. You're saying that's not fair, that's not nice. Oh, well, it is what it is. And that's just what I've chosen to do. I also noticed that they had a lot of connections missing from their roads to the quay walls, so I've added in a lot of those pathways, giving them that access that they need. And I've done that all the way down at every single crossing. I've even made a couple crossings of my own, like right over here, where we have these pathways right across the way from all these offices and their own crossings as well. Same with all throughout over here. Everywhere there's a crossing, I've added a path just to get to the quay wall. So yeah, got a little bit distracted, but I got a lot more done than I wanted to. Oh, nope, I'm not done yet. I'm so sorry, I completely forgot about this. Alright, well I got this done now as well. So yeah, this whole little area is done. This was the next one I wanted to put down over here. Or next area I wanted to get all beautified. And let's see, let me take a look at my notes here. We got that mid area, we got the quay, we got this area and its quay. The next one on my list here is this medical area. So I'm thinking I'd actually like to put down a park right here in front, or maybe even design one of my own. So I think if we get in here, there's going to be, whoops, not unique buildings. There we go. I kind of want to get into the pedestrian area ones. I think there is one with food trucks, if I'm not mistaken, that doesn't go over both sides of the road. Yeah, right here, this one. It's a small food truck plaza. We can see it takes up about four units, and that's a real shame that I can't put it right here. Because if we could fit two things in here. We could fit this one and the food truck plaza back to back. I mean, we could if we faced them towards the outside, but I was hoping to have them face the hospital to represent maybe being where the people who work at the hospital might go to lunch or something, or even the patients, or even the people who are over here at this park across the way. But it's okay. We can go ahead and put these on the other side. So we got a plaza and a food truck plaza. I really like that. So I'm going to go ahead and get into making this area look kind of prettier. Here we are. You can see that there's a couple things changed, aside from the fact that we've also added in a bunch of trees and flowers and plants around this place. I've changed the 2 covered parking stalls that were across the way into the 2 new parking lots that we got with the latest hubs and transportation. That way the people at the park have more places to park, or maybe the hospital or the pediatrics facility over here has more places. One of the things that I'm kind of disappointed about was actually between this back road and the hospital and this food truck and stuff, is that I can't put pathways in to give people access from this side. I wish that was something I could do. But it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do that, so they have to come in from this outside part to get into these 2 areas, but that is okay. I am okay with that. 91% traffic with all of this red going on. I am curious what happened. Maybe our warehouses have finally calmed down. Oh no, it doesn't look like the empty warehouse bug is fixed yet. Let's look at its routes to see. Alright, so there's one public service vehicle and it immediately resets, so we still cannot put warehouses on empty. That is unfortunate. I got real excited when I noticed the warehouse that I put down last episode wasn't complaining. But I guess it's not over yet. I'll leave it alone on empty for a little while longer. just to see what happens. But I do believe it's not fixed. Alright, so what was I going to do this time? Let's pull out the notes here. We got the medical area, we got the quay wall, we got that large center area, we got that area over here. Around the stadium, that's right. So this one's pretty cool. When I was playing around with the stadium, something I want to point out is if we grab this one, we turn on all of our snap twos, you could see it snaps to some of these points here, and we can actually build pathways off of this. And to me, I think that is so cool. Although you can see sometimes it doesn't quite work where the building itself gets in its own way, but that's fine. Because other times, it looks like it's only when it's too short we're not able to do that. But as soon as the building the path we want to build lengthens, everything turns out okay. And that is actually really cool, that we can have all these pathways to give people more walking access into the stadium. Anyways, I better get to figuring out what I want to do with this area, so I will be right back. Alright, so I've kind of decided to keep this area pretty sparse, and as you can see there's probably a game that's about to happen with all these people showing up. But I wanted to keep this area sparse with no low vegetation because I wanted to promote the idea that people could just go out there and maybe have a picnic or something. Maybe it's before the game or something like that, or it's after the game late at night and you just want to go lay on the grass and hang out with your friends or something. I don't know. Whatever you guys are doing, I just wanted to promote the field as more of a hangout place that's friendly for people to just go out and sit down and have a good time, relax. So I've placed a bunch of things like little trash bins and things like that. If we come down here, see I've got like the recycle bins and things like that. And I wanted to keep the rocks because I wanted to maybe give people a place to sit down, maybe sit down on a rock or something, take pictures or something like that. And I wanted to keep the trees fairly small, so I went with the young linden and the general pine to give people a little bit of shade from maybe the sun or maybe a little bit of rain or whatever. And if you have noticed, I did change out the quay wall and I've added some paths. I did the wall-less quay wall, and I also did a little bit of this one here where maybe you're at the game, you want to come out, you can come out here, sit down, relax, watch the boats and the ferries go by, and kind of walk around, get from one end to the other. There was a little bit of trouble. I had to delete and replace both this ferry depot and the restaurant harbor on the left over there, because apparently you can't, oh, I guess we hit an academic here. Because you can't place or upgrade the quay wall that a building is on top of. You have to delete the building, then upgrade it, and then you could put the building back down again, which seems a little silly to me, especially if the building's already on one. But yeah, adds just a little bit more walkability around here, more places for people to maybe relax and hang out, maybe after the game or whatever. I'm thinking maybe I should put the quay wall with a wall on it. This seems a little bit dangerous, especially if you're going to have a bunch of people in this area probably drinking beer and whatnot, getting inebriated while at a big sports game. A wall is probably the best idea, so that way they don't fall off. But yeah, I had the stadium area on the list and I just got it done. I'm thinking maybe I could touch up a little bit in between some of these office buildings and things like that, just to kind of, or even further extend that walkable quay wall all the way over here. Just to kind of further extend the idea of, well, I guess I wouldn't be extending anything, but just to further beautify this area over here. So yeah, I think I will be right back. All right, so I've got a lot of these trees down in between buildings and roads and things like that. There's a real struggle. Oh, well, looks like we got a couple silly things going on, like a big rock in a parking lot, but it is what it is. I've gone through, I've added a lot of these trees in their backyards and rocks and things like that, just to kind of add to their little environments. Maybe they just want to go out and smoke and they don't want to just only look at the back of another building. Might make them feel like they're a little closer to nature. So yeah, I'm happy with this little area over here. Let's see, did I have anything else on my notes? Around the stadium, neighborhood near the Grove. I guess we have a neighborhood that's near the Grove that is ready. Oh yeah, that's right. And we even have this roundabout too. So we have the roundabout, and we also have this place with the high school and geriatrics and the dog park and playground. So we got a few things over here that we can make it look a little bit prettier. So I will, I guess, be right back. Got this area with a lot more trees and rocks and things like that, and I guess I'll start from this end since we're already here. I put another fence all the way around the elementary school just to kind of give that, I guess, give safety to the children there so they're not just running away as soon as they're out of here playing. Now, something that is done at some of the local elementary schools around where I live is that we'll have like these public fields in the back of them where they'll have their, well, not really so much public, but they'll have these fields for like soccer, baseball, whatever, you name it. They'll have these fields back there and they'll have all these big lights that illuminate it. And that way, if there's like a local football club, soccer club, whatever kind of club, they can reserve these fields at outside of school hours. So that way the school district can make a little bit of money and they'll have a place, a public place to come and have their sports leagues. Over here, I've also put down a fence around the elderly facility, the geriatrics, just to kind of also keep that air of safety where they're not just going to run away. But I've also added some things of my own back here where you can see I put down these brick pavers, and I've also added in a few lights, some chairs, and a couple grills, just to maybe give the illusion that some of these elderly have, I mean, to us it's an illusion, but I mean, like in real life, it would be a place for them to come out, relax, and have the, and that guy just walked right through a fence. I forgot what I was saying. But I've also put in a bunch of parking over here. The one across the street from geriatrics, maybe if they don't actually live there and they're coming from one of the houses around town, they can come and park and then go in for their medical care. And then over here, I added all this in for the high school parking lot, just to kind of give them, some of the older high school students, a place to park their cars. I've also added in this path just for further accessibility to get from one side to the other, so you're not completely reliant on walking all the way over here to then walk into your high school. At least for this game's sake, in real life, they're high school students, they'd jump this fence if they could. And to kind of put a little bit of detail over here, I decided to go with some rocks and young lindens kind of interspersed I don't know. I just thought it looked kind of cool. Maybe it'll give them places to kind of sit down and hang out on their lunch breaks. And as far as the roundabout, I decided to do this. I couldn't quite think of what I wanted to put down here, so I just did two of the kind of like medium rock structures and then turned them a 180 so that way they're facing each other. Looks kind of like an N or a Z depending on your point of view. And then I just put some low foliage around them. Let's take a look at our traffic. Let's see what's going on here. 86%. So yeah, we're floating around where we were before. This area doesn't seem to be too bad. Let's take a look at our... Yeah, so we still have the bug going on where we can't have empty warehouses, so I'll just have to set these to balanced yet again. Kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Yeah. I will be right back after I get all these set back to balanced. Alright, I've got all of the empty warehouses around town set back to balanced, and there's something curious I wanted to point out, was that this particular empty warehouse works perfectly fine. Things are able to come over here, deliver, able to receive public services, and I have no idea what the reason for that is. Maybe I need to... Oh no. Maybe in the... Wow, we've made a lot of money off of this. Maybe in the future I need to replace all of the old empty warehouses with new empty warehouses. There's a few areas that I wish I could add a little bit more foliage and beautify, such as this university area, but it's just not quite done yet. We still have this little corner to fill in. I want to add in stuff over here, but yet again, I do think I might want to put either more residential or more offices there. I'm purposefully leaving around this blank because it is technically a private... well, not technically. In our minds and according to the lore of the city that we're building, this is a private area owned by this farming industry, and they're just leasing all these places out. We haven't put in the city hall or things like that. Maybe I'll start editing or something like that, and then if I see that the episode's going to be a little bit shorter, I'll go ahead and come back and put this in there. But I'm not quite sure if we're able to handle this yet, because this is going to draw in a lot more tourists because it is a unique building. But yeah, I'm really liking this. I'm really liking the way it's turning out. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your viewership, and I appreciate your time. I appreciate the time you've given me. So thank you. And I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
That is what my heart says. That's what my heart says. I wanna be with you always. You are my world in every place. It's the things that you do, and it's the smile on your face. And as time goes by, that is what my heart says. That's what my heart says. I wanna be